We are always looking for courses that appeal to non-majors. When I entered the field, it was camp counseling. The first purpose of this presentation is to provide you with an entre course that appeals to non-majors. It could be an interdisciplinary, general education, or simply an elective course. Given the coronavirus, the prepper course is timely. In addition, with the changing demographics of many institutions, it is more relevant to inner-city students than traditional outdoor courses. Second is to provide a syllabus and other resource materials as a starting point for you. Hopefully this presentation will help you get your bearings on the direction you want to go with your course. Pun is intended. Why outdoor recreation and recreation? Academically, it is the connection, and why does it belong in our discipline? The simple answer is that the same principles and concepts that we deal with in preparing for outdoor experiences are the same for prepping. For example, freeze-dried foods and water purification are very similar. More on this with the surviving the unexpected emergency model. We are all preppers. If we do nothing, then that is our level of prepping. One of the barrier-breaking activities that we do is the pocket dump. Students dump the contents of their pocket or purse onto the table. The smartphone may be necessary to call for assistance, and cash is always acceptable. The carabiner and keys can be used as weapons. The carabiner doubles as brass knuckles. The pocket knife is a useful tool. The point of this exercise is that all you have in an unexpected emergency is what you have with you. Another barrier-breaking thought is that we are used to instant relief from darkness, hunger, pain, thirst, boredom, hot and cold. The connection with outdoor recreation is that our activities do not always provide instant relief. In addition, in an unexpected emergency, we expect someone else to help us. This dovetails with the risk management topics of the rescue curve and the 911 syndrome. Everyone is a prepper. You may not think you are, but you are. To make a decision not to be prepared is to make a decision. In this case, all you have available to you is your current store of provisions, and that may be sufficient to survive. The course is organized around the surviving the unexpected emergency model. The course is really about surviving the unexpected emergency, but prepping is sexier and easier to relate to. The model is about students making choices in their preparation. Remember, if you do nothing, then this is your level of preparation. The first step is to determine the type of natural and man-made experiences that will affect you. We do an activity where students choose what experiences they want to be prepared for. Hurricanes tend to be an East Coast phenomenon, and wildfires tend to be more prevalent in the West. With the coronavirus, I have added pandemics to the list. Next, determine the magnitude of the disaster. Choose the magnitude of the disaster for which you seek to be prepared. The choices are a major snowstorm, Yellowstone caldera, and Chicxulub. Most students choose to be prepared for regional disasters like a major snowstorm or hurricane. Duration is interrelated with magnitude. Generally, the greater the magnitude, the longer its duration also. Again, most students seek to be prepared for a hurricane or a regional event that would last several days to a week or more. As a general rule, the greater the magnitude and the longer the duration, the more complex the planning process becomes. The last step is to plan for the situations identified. Topics were synthesized from the literature, and a quick examination reveals most of the topics cross over with topics discussed in planning for outdoor recreation activities. Physiology, accident prevention, food, water, sanitation, shelter, first aid, and navigation are typical outdoor recreation topics. Some of the topics like sanitation and first aid can easily borrow from practices in third world areas also. Topics like bugging out seem to be unique to prepping, but really bugging out is merely a variation of trip planning. Most of the topic areas are similar to those topic areas covered in preparing for a camping trip. Therein is our academic connection with the course content. The next section focuses on a brief overview of the topic areas. We will pause here briefly for questions. Next, I want to briefly cover the topic areas. The purpose is to provide an overview and to stimulate ideas in your part. What is important is that you tailor the topic areas to your skill set and interests. Also, it provides you with some potential resource materials. Psychology of survival. Who survives and who dies? There is a lot written on the topic. I use the movie Touching the Void. After Simon cuts the rope, it is Joe Simpson's trek that illustrates the concepts of who survives. My factors are closest to Kramer's factors in his book titled Surviving the Extremes, a doctor's journey to the limits of human extremes. Physiology. Typical topics include hypothermia, hyperthermia, dehydration, and fatigue. How do you gain and lose heat? This provides the foundation for the shelter unit. Risk management. My focus is on accident prevention, the rescue curve, and barrier analysis. Prepping is focusing on safety and prevention, self-rescue, and what I can do to prevent accidents. Additional topics can also include insurance, retirement, and financial security. Fire, heat, and light. My tendency is to go primitive technology here. Flint and steel makes a good demonstration. I have yet to master the sophisticated technology of the bow drill. If you need to create fire, a battery and steel wool works exceedingly well. Remember, steel burns hot at 1500 degrees Fahrenheit. Food focuses on protection from other animals, varmints, and microorganisms. Some recommend having a 30-day supply of food, but I prefer having at least 6 months. Nutrition is a topic that can also be included. Water focuses on sources of contamination, methods of decontamination and purification, and methods of storage. 5 methods of purification are discussed. Sanitation and hygiene. The average human produces roughly 1/4 pound of fecal matter a day. It can be decomposed on site, stored for future transportation and decomposition elsewhere, or transported directly to a centralized facility. With the coronavirus, proper hand washing is one of the most beneficial units. Shelter is anything that protects the body. It includes clothing, building, and site selection. Topics can include layering, sleeping in your car, bunker design, safe rooms, living off the grid, and emergency shelters. Navigation. 3 levels of navigation include orientation, map and compass, and GPS. In prepping situations, my focus is on orienting yourself in the environment and the use of retro map and compass skills. GPS is great, but depending on the disaster, it may not be available. Bugging out. Do you stay or do you go? Most of the literature has bugging out backwards. The first question to ask is, where are you going? Once you know this, it determines your planning. In an interview, my bugging out strategy was summarized as bugging out by American Tourister because I pack like I'm going on a trip. Although bugging out may seem to be unique to prepping, it is really a variation of trip planning. Rigging and first aid. Rigging is a chance to practice some basic knot tying skills, including the bowline, figure 8, 2 half hitches, and the tensionless anchor. Regarding first aid, I keep it relatively simple and focus primarily on the primary and secondary patient survey. For preppers, the topic can quickly dovetail into what they do in third world countries, where doctors and hospitals aren't readily available. Protection. For preppers, emphasis on avoidance strategies, situational awareness, and non-weapon weapons. Non-weapon weapons are items that are not normally weapons that can be used as weapons. A carabiner can serve as a key ring and double for brass knuckles. A mechanical pen or pencil can serve as a Kubotan. A flashlight can make a good mace, and a lock and a sock can be a lethal flail. The movie Hotel Mumbai provides a good primer for discussing situational awareness. Recreation. Preppers may have a lot in common with POWs and prisoners in solitary confinement. It is important to facilitate creativity and to stimulate the mind. The first 20 minutes of the movie Blast from the Past is useful in depicting life in bunkers and the need to stimulate creativity. There are many subtopics under the rubric of prepping. People can steer the course in other directions. The following stereotypes are a synthesis of those areas and is a work in progress. Sheeple. This group is the non-preppers. Like sheep, they are foolish, docile, and easily led. Doomsday preppers. As the name suggests, these preppers are prepping for doomsday. Rainy day preppers. Some preppers will store provisions for a rainy day. Survivalists. Characteristic of this group is a focus on weapons and tactics. Homesteaders. This group is as much about lifestyles as it is about prepping. They live off the grid with chickens, a garden, but they can't live without the internet. Primitive technologies. Essentially, this is the mountain man strategy where they seek to live off the land. A prepping course offers outdoor recreation a new venue to communicate its skill set. With the recent pandemic, the course is timely. This session makes this connection with the outdoor skill set and justifies locating the course content within the outdoor recreation curriculum. A conceptual model is provided which provides the architecture for the course content.